Hello there. Jeremy Corbyn says that once her deal is voted down, Theresa May should go back to Brussels to get a Brexit deal that Labour can support. And as far as he's concerned, that would include a full customs union with the European Union. Now I hope you've all had a great festive season and welcome to my first video of 2019. Now the Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn has told Theresa May to return to Brussels after her deal gets thrown out by Parliament to get a new deal with the EU that includes a full customs union arrangement. And he made it clear that he intends that his party will vote against a no-deal Brexit and vote down Theresa May's deal, and at that point, he said, she should go back to Brussels and say this is not acceptable to Britain and renegotiate a customs union, form a customs union with the European Union to secure trade. Now, if and almost certainly when Theresa May's deal does get voted down, there has been talk that she'll have another go at getting it through the Commons. But that could well take some time, as she would almost certainly toddle off on a jaunt across the EU talking to the EU27 leaders again to try and get something from them to help her. And all the while the clock will be ticking down to 11 PM on the 29th of March 2019. And by the time of the first vote in the third week of January, we'll only have a little over 70 days to go to exit day anyway. How long does Corbyn think it will take to get the pie-in-the-sky customs union he wants that he could support? You know, the one where we are outside the EU but sit around the table with them helping to formulate their EU policy. The one where we have a customs union with the EU but can somehow still do independent trade deals around the world. That pie-in-the-sky customs union that breaks just about every EU single market rule there is. And while all that was going on, the Remainers will be in hyperdrive panic mode, doing all they can to block a no-deal Brexit, as well as get Article 50 extended, not much chance of that now, or get the Article 50 letter unilaterally revoked by the UK government, which would of course be incendiary, as it completely reverses Brexit, so is against the manifesto commitments of both the Conservative and Labour parties, and more importantly totally ignores the 2016 EU referendum result. But by the end of this month, I think that many of the hardened Remainers in Westminster will be past caring about minor things like democracy, as they see their pet EU project in danger of being expunged from the UK landscape. They will twist and turn while putting up Brexit-busting amendments to every piece of legislation that goes through the House, while continually chanting that a no-deal exit is bad. And if they were foolhardy enough in all of this to force a vote of confidence in the government, it will just gum up their own anti-Brexit works, with the clock continuing to tick as a new government was formed and a new PM chosen. Especially if it resulted in a general election, for a start on what Brexit platform would Labour and Conservative stand? Then the incoming government would be formed with just a couple of weeks at best until Brexit Day. All I can say is that due to the actions of the Remainers, this is going to get very, very messy indeed in the next few weeks. Now, one question you often hear is, how long can the euro last? And on that, the Centre for Economic and Business Research says in its predictions for 2019 that the year when the internal contradictions of the euro force the EU either to integrate economically or to risk the breakup of the eurozone is coming up. It is possible to defer the confrontation for a year or two, but the boil will have to be lanced at some point, since the Italians have clearly reached the point of austerity fatigue. And talking of Italy, the European Central Bank has appointed 3 temporary administrators to take over one of Italy's banks, the Banca Carige, to try and save it after it failed to get shareholder backing for a €400 million share issue, which was part of a rescue plan to shield the industry from another banking crisis. Now, Sadiq Khan's London basically thumbed its nose at the rest of the United Kingdom with its New Year fireworks display. In a blatantly political message, Khan told us all where his true allegiance lies, and as far as I'm concerned, it is not with the UK. Having watched the firework display, which used the London Eye as its centrepiece, I was gobsmacked at the anti-Brexit message it tried to put across. But we should have known exactly what to expect as, when ordering a ticket to the event online, you were met with the message: "This year's spectacular display celebrates the city's relationship with Europe. The fireworks will show the world that London is proud to be a global European city and sends a clear message of support to the more than 1 million European Londoners living in the city." Where's the reference to the United Kingdom? And how about all the non-Europeans living in London? How about all the relationships we have across the world? Or don't they matter to Khan? And here we are trying to get the country together to go out into the world reborn as a sovereign nation state, and along comes Khan, who purposely puts a spanner in the works by hijacking the one event of the year that could have been used to help unite the United Kingdom. As far as I can see, all Remainers are divisive, and Khan is doing his bit by trying to cause division between London and the rest of the UK. Remainers have tried to divide Scotland from the rest of the UK to keep us in the EU. They have tried to use Northern Ireland in much the same way. But the most contemptible thing they continually do is to try and create a divide between the young and the old in this country in their attempts to get their own way. Turning the young against the old is one of the first weapons of choice for despots and dictators. And when Theresa May says in her New Year's message that it was the referendum that divided us, my answer is no, it did not. The divide started the day the UK entered into the common market, while its successive governments busied themselves with the dismantling of the UK and the hollowing out of its political establishment so that it could be handed over to Brussels. And as more control was handed over to this new foreign power, a divide was formed between those who wished the UK to remain a sovereign nation state and those that wished to see it regionalised and assimilated into a greater European superstate. And when the politicians no longer had enough paper to cover the cracks of that divide, they put it to the people in the form of the 2016 EU referendum. The referendum came about because of the ever-deepening divide within the UK over our involvement with the EU. Had we stood firm in the 1970s and not joined in the first place, or voted to leave the common market when we had the chance in the first referendum in 1975, then there would be no divide today. We would be one united sovereign country. So no, the referendum was not divisive. It was a true indicator of how damaging ever closer union was becoming to the fabric of our own society. And the divide is not just in the UK. We can see it starting to manifest itself across the whole EU in the form of new anti-EU political parties springing up everywhere and with movements like the Yellow Vests. And the response from the EU fanatics to the concerns of these ordinary people is to demonise them, call them far-right and populist. Now, I can tell you that will only make things worse, because it's just being seen as more of what caused them to react in the first place. And now the Labour Party is beginning to feel the pressure of that divide. The party leader Jeremy Corbyn upset many of the Labour Party members and supporters when he recently declared that if he got into number 10, he would see Brexit through. But this is seriously at odds with the grassroots of Labour, says Professor Tim Bale of Queen Mary University, London. According to a survey by the university of 1,034 Labour Party members and a representative sample of 1,675 voters, 83% of those 1,034 party members voted Remain at the referendum, and 73% of the 1,675 Labour voters think that the UK was wrong to vote to leave the EU. And the Express reports that if Corbyn stays on his Brexit track, then as many as 90,000 of its members could leave the party. Now, I'm not saying that these numbers are anywhere close to the true situation, but it tells us that should Labour ever get into power, they will be as riven over Brexit as the Tories are, because the need to make and be accountable for decisions will always bring those divisions to the surface. And finally, with just 86 days to go until we leave the European Union, it won't be long now until we're counting down to it in just hours, minutes and seconds. Marvellous! So please let us all know what you think by leaving a comment below, and thank you for watching. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.